A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jazz, and I've got Nick from Jazz Real Estate EV Group in Point Cook. Today, we are presenting the weekly wrap, as we always do, talking about the market, what happened with the auctions, what happened with the sales in Wyndham 30, so to say. Now, let's talk about auction clearance rates, Nick.
So auction clearance rates, quite a good week for our
Yeah.
auctions. So we had 940 auctions reported across Victoria this week,
yeah.
with a 76% clearance rate. Jazz, so talk to us a little bit more about the clearance rate.
I guess clearance rate is certainly holding up a bit versus what happened last week. We had about 80% auction clearance rates. However, number of auctions last week were about 1,167. This time last year were approximately about 83%. So there's still a reduction in the auction clearance rates. However, overall, the confidence level, the sentiments in the market, as we always say, is certainly holding high. Yeah. In fact, last week we had a discussion with Tim Lawless from CoreLogic RP Data. It was a quite informative session with Tim, with our other national group as well. What we are projecting and what we are looking at, based on what Tim, who's one of the reliable sources in economy, has suggested us, that the interest rates are certainly going to go up a little bit. Obviously, not a financial advice. At the same time, the construction cost is going to go up as well. It's already up. Builders are renegotiating their contracts with the clients, which is certainly bringing buyers back into established home market, and the demand is certainly outweighing supply. So it's all demand and supply, and there's different factors, and overseas travel is opening up as well. We've seen a lot of people coming back, and a lot of pre-approval applications have gone up as well. So overall, it's certainly a good time for the market in the future as well.
Perfect. And in terms of, I guess, the market around the Wyndham area, let's talk about some of the sales that happened across Tarneit, Truganina, and Point Cook. Let's dive into a little bit about that.
Let's jump into it. So Point Cook reported approximately 19 sales, and Truganina had about 21 and 17 sales in Tarneit itself. Now, high sale price was $1,090,000 for Point Cook for the last week, and that property was sold in a week's time. Then we had a few other properties just selling circa $760,000 to about $830,000 mark. They all vary between single and double story houses there, Nick.
Right, $1,090,000 you said for Point Cook. Let's talk a little bit about that property. So let's dive into that. What property was it?
Right. So the home was located in Alamanda School Zone, Alamanda Estate, set on approximately 512 square meters, and about 33 squares was a built-up area.
Right.
So 16 Viola was one of our sales in the office, and the home was sold in approximately about under 6 to 7 days there. Stats were quite good. I guess, Nick, if you want to touch on the stats for a quick second.
Yeah, let's chat stats. So 16 Viola. Let's chat stats.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a bit of a catchphrase. No, the stats for this property were really impressive. So we had 39,100 search results that it appeared in. Over 4,200 people clicked on the home alone.
Wow.
Now, compared to a lot of properties, that is a lot. 4,200 people on realestate.com
just clicking that home. It was on the market in total 8 days, because obviously it took about 2 or 3 days for the contract to go unconditional. So I believe on an average home in the marketplace will probably attract about 1,700 on obviously a campaign which is quite hot, or house which is quite in demand. I'd say, I guess 4,169, nearly 4,200 is a massive number.
That is, we're looking at more than double the amount of average viewers on a daily basis for this one property.
Wow.
So we're averaging about 600 or 700 people a day looking at this property alone. Now, we also had 120 property saves.
Right.
We had 20 phone inquiries, and we had 25 email inquiries alone.
And I guess that comes down to a price maximization strategy, which comes into play. Nick, I'd love to touch on that a little bit. I guess one thing we say to our clients is that when you sell a home, you only get one chance. So investing your time and efforts into your home, looking around what's happening in the marketplace, what's happening in your neighborhood itself, is quite critical.
Absolutely.
Having a look at the home and comparing what other homes are in the market, not just which have sold, the ones are on the market which could potentially compete with yourself
Yeah.
is certainly a good exercise. We recommend our clients, if there's a home in the marketplace, when we are doing your open home, go and check other homes out and see how they compare to yours. And just make sure that your home sits here in terms of presentation. When it comes down to presenting the home, people would look at photographs, and that'll attract people and make a decision. Like, obviously, I'm in a position where I could certainly relate to that, where I'm looking to buy myself, where I can certainly say, well, this property is probably representing value to me or not, versus property A, which is priced well, presented well. I'd be more inclined to go and have a look at this property first, and then psychologically, I'll probably try to make an offer. And that's when the agent's role come into play, how good they are in negotiating. Then obviously that skills, which is a separate topic altogether.
Absolutely. And I think especially, first of all, we're looking forward to welcoming you back into the neighbourhood, Jazz, coming back to Point Cook. It's an exciting time for you.
Exactly.
But I guess placing yourself in the mindset of that buyer is an extremely important part of what we do, because we need to be able to think like a buyer and look at the representation of a property from an impartial point of view. So taking ourselves out of that mindset of, I guess, work and looking at it as someone who is looking at that property from a buying point of view. And I guess speaking of representation, let's touch on that, because I actually wanted to chat some more stats in regards to 16 Viola in terms of market representation and page views. So we launched at about, I think it was 6:30 on day one, 7th of March.
It was on Wednesday or Thursday, I suppose.
I believe it was, yeah. And so from 7 p.m. onwards, we received up until 12 a.m., we received 631 views just that night.
And how much was the market compare?
250.
Wow.
So we're over 2.5 times the amount.
Wow. And that's on the day one.
And we're only talking within a roughly 6-hour time period.
It's so promising, and it's so nice to see the clients trusting our price maximization strategy, where marketing plays a big role.
Absolutely.
What I say is, you can't sell a secret.
You cannot, Jazz. You cannot. And to let the cat out of the bag, let's talk about day two. Yeah. Now, day two was a big one for the property, as were the following days.
As well,
But day two was a massive one.
Right.
So the average on the 8th of March, which was a Tuesday, was 220 views on average for each property. How much was
for Viola?
Viola brought out 1,100 views for the one day.
One day.
1 day, 5 times the market value.
No surprises. On the first inspection, we had, 21 to 25 groups, I suppose?
I believe the exact number was 24 groups through, so approximately 40 people through on the first inspection after that day 2 campaign.
And I suppose the phones were ringing quite hot in the starting itself when the property just went on the market. And it was, again, the strategy, which is obviously our IP, which we would love to discuss if you would love to know more about it. I guess then it's more about how we drive traffic to the open home, and obviously traffic from people who are really keen to buy. And we extracted, about 4 offers on the day one. And then in the evening, we had about another 6 offers come through. In total of, say 13 offers in the whole campaign. And by the time we did the second inspection, which was a Saturday, we were very close to selling the property.
Absolutely. And I think part of that is down to the way the campaign was marketed. So on that night, we said, we are selling, we need your best foot forward. And I think that's where that competition, that element of competition came in. And we also saw a massive increase again, looking at day 6.
Right.
So let's skip forward a little. We're day 6 on the market. So, we've had pretty consistent views. We're at least double the market value every single day.
That's correct.
And fast forward to day 6, Saturday, we've had 2 open for inspections on the one day.
I remember, and that was strategically done, I guess.
It was a well placed move. I remember having the meeting on the Tuesday saying let's go and have the double open.
Yes.
Obviously, that was a strategic move. We won't discuss exactly why.
Yes.
But it was a very well-placed move, because the market average for Saturday, now Saturdays are usually a pretty big day for the market. Obviously, you've got a lot of open for inspections, auctions, as we saw with the clearance rates and Viola Ave stats.
Even last week was quite strong as well.
Close to 1,000 auctions, and 68 was the market average.
Wow.
for views.
Wow.
Viola brought in close to 400.
400. Wow, that's astonishing. And I guess that was the day where it was a game changer. The family who was quite interested, and we had the private inspection straight after the open homes. We finished at about 4:30, and then we started having the open homes. The private inspections. We were discussing and negotiating on the offers, and I think the offer was then finalised at about 11:30 in the same night on Saturday. So the property went under offer on Saturday night.
And let's discuss a little bit around the offer process. What did it look like in terms of the offer process, Jazz? What did we have on the table?
I guess to start with, from the day one, we started getting offers, verbal or probably telephonic offers. People started calling. People started sending us messages about the interest they had on the property. The lowest offer, I guess, if I'm not wrong there, Nick, I think the lowest offer was around $950. That was the lowest offer that we had from a family. And then we had another family who's come through. They were quite keen in the property itself, and they missed out on a few homes. We were keeping a close eye on the movements of the purchasers who actually attended the inspections and obviously who were inquiring. So part of our price maximization strategy, again, referring back to the data that we collect and the data we actually keep an eye on, and people who were bidding at auctions in the last couple of weeks as well. So to understand what sort of stage the buyer's at, so we can leverage and make sure our clients get the best out of their sale. So the highest offer we had was on the table at about $980, and then we had one offer at about $1 million or so. Then we started negotiating, and then we had about, say, circa $950 to $1.010 million, circa out of 13 groups.
Right.
So then we started negotiating with the top 3 buyers. At that time, the game-changing thing came through, which was an unconditional finance.
And Jazz, let's delve deeper. Let's delve deeper into that point. And let's discuss why an unconditional offer is really a game changer for the market and for the property.
One, confidence level in the marketplace. Second, that it tells that buyers do have appetite to buy the property in the market, where there's some level of uncertainty you see from the buyers that gives them more assurance in the marketplace that there's buyers out there ready to buy the properties today unconditionally.
Now, I want to touch on that point actually, because I think it's a very important one that obviously buyers, not only buyers, but vendors understand. So when we say confidence in the market, let's discuss a little bit more about what that means, because in a market like this, confidence is a hard thing to come by. The demand,
I guess so, is
up here, but our supply level is really just down here.
Exactly.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into that confidence level and discuss why it's important.
I guess the confidence level for the buyers to see, well, if the vendors are asking for X amount, is it a fair and reasonable amount? Am I paying too much? Or would the market go up further? Or is it a fair, reasonable price of the property, because they may not see a comparable sale around it? However, when the market's moving upward, it moves quite quickly as well. With the buyers with the right appetite and the ones who've got confidence and demand, requirement and needs, if the property is satisfying their needs and requirements, and people have got, obviously it's a combination of appetite, it's a combination of requirements, it's a combination if they've missed out on similar properties in the past, or they missed out on a property which is not as good as the property they're trying to buy now, they desire subconsciously not to miss out on the home. So it's part psychological factor, then obviously economical factor, which is your market, and then it comes down to the point of, are they ready to buy? So I suppose it comes down to the play where that tells the market that the asking price from that vendor is not unreasonable. That helps the other buyers to go up, and that's what builds the market value, and it travels slowly, but it goes higher. Like what's happening in Alamanda School Zone right now, we all know on an average, Alamanda would have probably 5 or 6 properties in the market, and their absorption rate's quite quick. So for people like the purchaser at 16 Viola, they clearly knew all the factors, and they played a smart move to go unconditional on finance.
And I think with that, the absorption rates in Alamanda, not only Alamanda though, but the entire market right now are extremely high. Like,
100%.
We're seeing properties that are selling like that.
100%.
I think I saw one a few weeks ago that sold in 4 hours.
Yes.
4 hours. That's insane.
the calls to talk about next week with our other sale, which we'll discuss later. Yeah,
we'll revisit that. We'll come back to that. But again, 16 Viola going, I guess, kind of just retouching on the basis of that. 6 days on the market.
Yeah,
with being the 8-day sold.
Let's talk about the presentation, because I remember Sandy and Pete, they've actually done an amazing work. If you are watching, guys, you've done amazingly well in terms of presentation. It does help us. Obviously, it's a team effort when we say it's half of the work's done by the vendors, and obviously there's strategies which are implemented by the real estate agents, and obviously the market has to play its own role as well. But let's talk about the presentation there, Nick. How would you rate the presentation, and obviously the journey that we had with our vendors from day one when we met, and obviously when the property was launched in the market?
Yeah. So I guess when you first meet a vendor, or when you get in touch with a vendor and you come and you sit down and you have a look at the property, it's important to, I guess, understand that it is a family home. Yes. Not everything will be in 100% photographic, I guess, positioning.
You can't expect to be a display home at that time.
Exactly. And not only that, but it gives a sense of family, because when you have everything similar to a display home, it feels staged.
That's correct.
And that doesn't bring in, I guess, what we were discussing earlier, the half psychological part / emotional attachment to the property, which is a very, very important part of the buying journey. And so when we first went there, absolutely the home looked beautiful. But it wasn't at the point where most people would say that it is a display home or it's ready for staging.
That's correct.
But coming into the presentation of the photos, the house was decluttered. Everything was made to look like a family home. And so with a slight reduction in clutter, that makes people in the photos go, wow.
The space, the charm, backyard.
And part of that also comes down not only to the presentation of the home, which was absolutely immaculate, but also some of the photography that was done.
Yes.
So we find that in Reference Point, our photographs, the way they are taken, seems to expand the way the property looks.
The angles, the editing of the photographs, and the passion that our media team brings on the table for our clients is a joint venture.
Absolutely.
Not just us bringing that passion and fire towards what we do at work, is our media team as well.
Absolutely. And we find we love what we do.
Yes,
we know that for a fact. Every day we come to work, we love what we do. And the media team is all about that too.
That's correct.
The passion that they put into filming with us, taking the photos, going to the lengths to do our dusk shots and having a great time overall, even similar to our testimonial with 29 Chances Street.
Taking time out, like how much time did the media team spend at 16 Viola? Starting at about 5 o'clock and finishing at about 8:30.
We were there for a good 3.5 hours just working on that project.
Yes.
And you can see it too, the way even the videos are put together.
That's correct.
They're immaculate.
That's right.
So I guess going back to the presentation of the home, it does create that emotional attachment, and it is an extremely important part.
That's where the good things happen.
That can't be emphasized enough.
That's correct.
So that's a really important and a really good point to touch on, Jazz. Now let's fast forward a little. Let's hit the fast forward button and let's go and talk about next week. What's happening next week, Jazz?
So next week, obviously, we have some good results to report, but obviously they are under processing, what we say, which is conditional. But some of the outcomes which are about to sort of launch or perhaps listed online would be eye-opener for the future sellers in the marketplace. What I normally say to my clients who are thinking of selling is the market confidence is quite good at the moment. What happens in the future? No one has a crystal ball. If you are thinking real estate, what I'd recommend is, and before you touch that paintbrush as well, let your real estate agent in, someone who knows how to present the house, someone who's got a system and plan in place to maximize the outcome, the exposure, before you touch that paintbrush as well. I normally see, Nick, a lot of time people overcapitalize as well when they're spending on renovations or getting the property ready for sale. So it's always critical. Can't emphasize more. So looking forward to the next week as well. If you have any questions, myself, Nick, and our team would love to support and go through the journey with yourself. Our number is 04354686689. And Nick, if you can
Yep.
Drop your number there.
And
as
if
well.
you'd be interested in contacting myself, 0431 658 316 is my number.
And we would love to help and support you with the journey as well.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Well, I think we're about good for our market wrap this week.
Yes.
Next week, we'll be discussing, I guess, some of our results over our midweek and weekend results. So that'll be a really, really key point to touch on because it's going to be a big week this week.
Absolutely. And there's keep an eye on a couple of more properties in Alamanda as well.
Absolutely. So I guess for anything other than contacting us, all our details are on jazzrealestate.com.au.
Yes.
And for anything else, feel free to shoot us an email or give us a text or a ring.
There's a link in our comment box and the description box as well. If you would like to see 16 Viola, we've dropped a link there as well. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and thank you so much for your time. You have a lovely week ahead.
Can't wait to see you next week, guys, and have a great week ahead of you.
Thank you.
Catch you later.